So, in the last episode, I talked about hope, about how hope isn't just a feeling, that it's a leadership capacity, something people actively look for when they choose who to follow. And one insight from the Gallup really stayed with me. The people we most often look up to as leaders are not our managers, actually, but our family members. In fact, in the study, 57% mentioned a family member as a leader they admire and they get confidence from, while only 11% mentioned managers. That might surprise us, or maybe not, because when you think about it, leadership is not just about role or title. It's about presence, about who stays close when life is actually happening. So today I want to explore that with you, who we really learn leadership from, and also why gratitude expressed, not just felt, is one of the most good way to express leadership acts here and now. I'm Hanna Zaxmy, your leadership coach, and this podcast is your confidence boost in color. Let's go. And before we continue, if you're finding value in these conversations, make sure that you're following the podcast so you don't miss future episodes on confident, authentic leadership. So when we think about leadership, we often picture workplaces and organizations. But family is often where we first experience leadership. Well, not stated in that sense, not the perfect leadership, and let's remove that idea straight away, but authentic leadership. Family is where we see people on good days and hard days, when they're tired, when they're stressed, but also when they're joyful, when they are vulnerable. It's often the place where we are most ourselves, or where it's actually the hardest to play a role for a long time, because it will definitely shine through. That's where values shown up in action, not in theory. I know this isn't true for everyone. Family can be complicated, but for many of us, family members shaped our inner compass long before we even had a job title. And when I reflect on who influenced my own leadership, especially before I left home and started university, it's almost exclusively family. So let me share a few of those who influenced me. So my grandmother, she grew up in a relatively poor household with many siblings. She started working really early, picking sugar beets and working as a maid. She was a strong woman, determined and very clear about right and wrong. Looking back, she was deeply value-driven, even though I didn't have the language for it at that time. One thing she taught me was about money. First you earn it, then you spend it, not the other way around. And at the same time, she was really generous with her time, with care, with love. She also had this contagious giggling laughter, a lightness that beautifully balanced her strength. From her, I learned that I can be firm and warm, clear and kind, grounded and joyful. My name, Hanna, actually comes from my grandmother. And when I was born, I was given a heart-shaped necklace. Together with my name and that necklace, I carry a daily reminder of this remarkable woman with me. My second name is actually Mariana, and that comes from my other grandmother. She taught me something different. She didn't talk much about leadership either. She showed it also day by day. She worked in the paint shop, making sure that the shelves were full, everything was in order, and things were taken care of. I loved helping her, stacking paint tins, tidying shelves, talking about the day while doing something practical together. And she led through action, through responsibility, through presence. And something I appreciate deeply now, years later, is that she always spoke kindly about other people. That matters. especially when no one is listening. Both of my grandmothers passed away 18 years ago. And there's a moment when I wish I could simply pick up the phone and call them, to talk, to listen, to ask for their perspective. But I treasure what they have left behind in me. Their love and the leadership lessons they passed on, quietly and through how they lived. My father is the one who encouraged me to follow what I cared about, not what others expected, to choose my own path. He was also the one who first invited me into leadership. When I was around 11 or 12, I started to feel a bit bored in the Sunday school. Instead of telling me just to stay, he gave me responsibility. Small tasks at first, and then gradually bigger ones. He mentored me without making a big deal of it, and that built confidence in me. Before long, my friends and I was organizing a large New Year's Eve celebration for the whole church. It was great fun, and I learned so much about organizing, planning, creating, and I loved it. That early trust shaped me more than he probably knows. Even today, both my parents are my biggest supporters, including in my work as a coach and business owner. My mom is the one who sees possibilities. For her, almost everything is solvable. She is practical, quick to take initiatives, and somehow able to stay calm even when things are stressful. What I've learned most from her is that relational leadership. She connects easily with people of all ages. She's genuinely curious, and she sees the good in others. Even if she wouldn't call it coaching, her way of encouraging, asking thoughtful questions, and inviting people to try, especially when things feel difficult, is deeply coaching in nature. And yes, that patience she has, and I definitely sometimes need, that definitely come from her. Both my parents have also shown time again that what it means to focus on what truly matters and to prioritize accordingly. Family has always come first. When they turned 60, they made a big decision. They moved 300 kilometers from the place where my father had lived his entire life to be close to me and my family. They built a new house, only 300 meters from here. And they both applied for new jobs. They started a new chapter. And they've shown many times that if something important comes up for family, they drop what they're doing without hesitation. They don't just talk about values, they live them. I'm deeply grateful to have them as role models for me and for my children. There are, of course, also people outside my family, former manager, colleagues, and friends who have shaped my leadership. A common thread is proximity, time spent together, conversations, shared experience, which brings me to something important. Today, the 17th of December, is Say It Now Day. And it's there to remind us to express gratitude now, not later, not someday, because someday isn't guaranteed. We're often very good at saying kind things when someone is leaving at a farewell or a funeral. But what if we said those things while people are still there? I often think about this in work context. How many people leave not because they lack opportunity, but because they don't feel seen or appreciated? And I wonder what would have changed if they had heard earlier what they receive the day when they leave the company, that you matter, this is what you have brought to this company, this is why you have been important, and we will miss you. Gratitude is not soft, it's not fluffy, it's leadership. So as the year now comes to an end, I want to invite you to reflect. Who has mattered for you this year? Who has contributed, supported, challenged, and believed in you? Tell them and also write it down. I shared this before, but one of my evening routines is reflecting on at least 3 things I'm grateful for. Some days it's easy, other days it really takes an effort. But I always find 3 or more, and I notice something important. The more I practice gratitude, the more I notice things to be grateful for. It trains my attention, it shifts my focus, and it makes me more resourceful in every day. This is also a powerful way to support your nervous system. Gratitude actually helps stimulate dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to motivation, energy, and drive. So when you're feeling low or flat, intentionally naming what you're grateful for can help you lift you back into a more resourceful state. So this is truly a leadership skill, especially in complex, demanding times. And since Christmas is just a week away, let me leave you with a simple idea. If there is someone you want to encourage, take a jar, fill it with small notes. One thing you appreciate about them on each note. Something that do, something they are, something you want to encourage them in. Give them this jar and invite them to just take 1 note a day. And when the notes are finished, well, they can put them all together again and start all over again. Another option is actually handwritten letters. I've done this for my teams before Christmas many times. Personal notes about what I see in them and what they contribute with, what I'm grateful that they are doing. It costs nothing but your time, and it's one of the most appreciated gifts you can give. So leadership doesn't only live in strategies, frameworks, or titles. It lives in everyday actions, in encouragement, in gratitude, in seeing and being seen. So today I invite you to reflect. Who shaped your leadership and who might need to hear now that they matter? And part of your end of year review, give this time. Don't rush it. Take a full day if you can. Have a notebook with you and write down whatever comes up that you are grateful for. I promise you, it will be worth it. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love you to hit follow on the podcast so you don't miss future conversations about leadership that is human, value-driven, and rooted in what truly matters. And if you feel called to, leave a review also helps more people to find the show. See you on Christmas Eve next time. Until then, be confident, be you.